Hello, trading has closed on the 20th of December, 2021. We always start with our disclaimer, then we go over our calls and make some predictions. It's my trading plan for tomorrow, Tuesday, December 21st. Remember, I can be completely wrong. All trades should be at your own risk. I'd appreciate it if you do find the channel helpful, if you would click like and tell your friends to subscribe. Did have a few calls. We expected the pattern with the early low, which is this, and tomorrow should have the early high. We said that unless we gapped under this low, we should see higher prices, but gapping under that low couldn't be ruled out. Here's what we said. We also had a Fed whipsaw target. The FOMC announcement was at 46.30. Cash topped at 47.31, so 101 points. You'd like to be under this price by an amount over 101 points, so it gives us a target of about 45.29. We bottomed at 45.31. In the scheme of things, that's close enough. Doesn't mean we're not going to see 45.29, just that when you drop over 200 handles that fast, coming within 2 points is close enough for me. And I have seen some of these whipsaw price targets missed by a small amount. So even though I think we're going lower, we don't have to go lower, in my opinion, to satisfy the target. We do have a target for tomorrow, 45.39.79. I know futures are up now, but if we don't gap up smartly, that's my call for tomorrow. There's an ultimate target at the same price, and that means that usually you're going to trade under this price, even if you don't do it on the first try. Here were the signals during the day. We had an ultimate sell signal, but a higher target as well. We got the higher target first. We're supposed to undercut certain levels. Gives us our price target here. We gapped down, hit a lower low, closed over all the lows. That's a bullish pattern. So unless you gap and promptly undercut this low, system says you should see higher prices, but that's not the MEJT system, it's a different system. But if you look, with under 10 minutes left to trade, we hadn't even cleared any of these intraday highs. And breaking in the last 10 minutes, particularly when it follows through in futures, that doesn't mean a heck of a lot to me. It just means that the liquidity, that when there was liquidity, you couldn't break over these highs. And as soon as you had liquidity dry up and the big money left, retail customers pushed them to price highs, to fresh highs. Very likely to get down tomorrow. No, it's not a requirement. Well, here's where I think we are. We've topped out as far as I can tell. And we have much lower targets, and the most pleasing one to me is in the 2900s. Obviously, it doesn't mean we get there tomorrow. Once you sustainably break under this 44.95.12 low in cash, it's pretty tough to see how we can stage a recovery of any kind until much lower prices print. It's possible that today's low is going to hold a little bit because we have an ABC down with C equal to A. So if we did recover from here, you could explain it. But this is really, looks more like an impulse than a zigzag to me. Doesn't mean it's the only interpretation. But if that's one and that's two and that's three, Eventually we should get this to be 4 and then 5. And if blue C is equal to blue A, takes us down into the 4480s. Doesn't mean it's the only way to count this, but it's a plausible count. And if we do start to drop again, it's the first place I'd look for support. More important than today's recovery attempt to me is the prompt rejection of the all-time high in futures. Hit an all-time high. Within really 3 trading days, you undercut multiple prior highs, multiple prior lows, including this intervening low. You could really seal the deal by undercutting this low and staying under it. It's 44.85.75 futures. And that hasn't happened yet, but it's pretty hard for me to see how we recover from this. Doesn't mean we have to go down tomorrow, though. Well, tomorrow's pattern has the early high doesn't mean you won't gap down. Signals are mixed. We'll use our standard rules. Commonest thing is a gap, prompt move outside the day's range. Signals are mixed. It's positive. We gap down, hit lower low, closed under intraday lows. Should be over. Okay, I corrected that we closed over the intraday lows. Unless we undercut today's low promptly, we should see higher prices. Doesn't require us to close higher. It's negative. There's a lower target with an ultimate target at the same price, so the odds are good. We do more than just undercut the target. Unless we gap up smartly, and futures are up as I'm recording this, but unless we gap up smartly, we should see the target. Breadth collapsed on today's drop, and the characteristics I look for, meaningful low are not there. More important to me than today's recovery is the prompt rejection of the futures all-time high. Regardless of what happens tomorrow, the odds have increased. The high is in. Much lower prices that much lower prices are coming. None of that means we have to drop tomorrow. So, tomorrow there's a pattern with the early high. Doesn't mean can't gap down first. I'm not impressed by this recovery, but if we gap up or so, this target doesn't have to print tomorrow. I'd like to see a gap under these lows, but it certainly isn't required. This target should print at some point, and probably you're not going to have to wait very long, because I think we're going to have a sizable drop, regardless of what happens tomorrow. And that's today's call.